Yep. Just let me know when you press record.
All right, go. We're going now.
All right. Welcome, LBR me and Patreon donors to the Green Room video today. The second one that Nika's ever been on.
Yay! I can make it this time. When we do the late shows, I just can't stay up.
Yeah, I know. And plus, I know.
It must be really hard having to commute back to your, I don't know, what is the kitchen? Is that where you're going? I mean to eat. I mean to eat, but that works too, I guess.
Look at that reaction. Look at that reaction. That's
Oh, that's twice today.
oh,
That you. Oh, wow.
that was
Wow.
That was amazing.
Just keep in mind that I have to drive an hour back up to Flint, so.
Sometimes in fucking tornado, hurricane, monsoon weather
Yeah.
at midnight.
Okay, but it's hard because I'm married and his eating schedule depends on when I can eat. And if I don't get to eat till 10, he doesn't get to eat till 10. So,
Oh,
yeah.
he just eats
Yeah,
when he
you
wants to, and you starve.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
That has happened sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, but now that we live in our own, you can see I have a brand new place behind me, my beautiful Scions poster.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot different now when we live on our own and dinner depends on us and we don't have anyone else to make dinner for us. It's a bit different.
It is. So fair enough. Maybe hopefully we'll be seeing you on more of these. But it's also nicer seeing you this way than putting you on like the stupid little iPad
Yeah.
thing.
Yes.
But yeah. So obviously this is for the recent episode, which Anir was not part of, so we weren't in the actual studio. We are all at our homes, Skyping, so that's why Nika gets to be here this time. And so how do you guys feel this episode went? Because I have some different thoughts on it than I thought I would have.
I feel like it went a lot longer than I thought I was going to go.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we were in agreement a lot more than I thought we would be also. Just in general, I feel like when Aniro's here, we have a lot more bickering and a lot more salt than...
And Nero typically, generally fabricates arguments to be salty and be mad about. And I can't make good arguments against
For
one
dumb
thing
things.
really quickly. So
Yeah.
I can make bad arguments really easily, but I
Mhm.
can't make an argument.
Yep, that's true. For me, well, first of all, we could have ended a lot sooner, but I felt like we got so many emails from this last one, and I'm sure we're going to get even more emails from this one that I'm like, I feel like we need to try and keep our emails down,
As much
like
as possible.
like our email reserve as empty as possible because it's just going to keep getting worse. Yeah, so that's the only reason that I'm like, all right, let's hurry up and push through these as quickly as we can.
Well, would it be possible to have I was thinking we could have some kind of in the middle of the week where we just read emails and we have a mailbag show.
The
And then
problem with that
3 or 4
is
emails on the actual show. Or
that's something that we've discussed before, but the problem is that I think people like hearing their emails on the show.
Yeah, so if we read the
That's true.
emails on a separate show, then 25,000 people aren't hearing someone's emails.
Or the person who ends up on the mailbag and not the actual show might think, well, how come my email wasn't good enough for the show?
So
And that's fair, but do we have to pander to everyone? No.
No, not necessarily, but
I mean, I understand though. But we could also that way pick and choose emails that actually go more along with the show topic.
that's true as well. I think what we need to do is we really need to embrace the idea of a full email show, but I don't think Aniro likes the idea of not having a discussion topic, which we can still have, but I think we need to start putting that at the end of the email show because the discussions always end up going longer than we think they're going to, and then it just ends up being a regular show at that point. But yeah. So my thoughts on the show were, and I'm gonna have to cut Nero some slack now. Whenever well, just because he always gets so hard on himself when he thinks a mistake was made, or he's always extra critical of himself, which I understand. Being an artist and a content creator of different kinds of art and media. But actually being the one who's leading the show, those types of things do stand out and pop out at you a lot more. And it's not bothering me as much as I think it would because I'm able to tell myself, from my usual perspective in the show that it's fine. It's fine. The show went great. If this was reversed and, and Nero was here, you wouldn't necessarily be having these thoughts. It's only because you're put right in the center of it. And so you feel like things are reliant on you more that you're being extra critical of it. But I think that it did go good because you guys seem to think that it did, and yeah, but I don't know. There's just like this weird new nagging feeling behind me that was like, but was it?
Was it really?
Well, there's always something you can do better when you look back on it. And I'm sure you've talked about that in almost all the green rooms. I would imagine like, oh, well, we could have done this, that, or the other thing. But I mean, as long as it wasn't like glaringly like, well, fuck, we stopped in the middle and had nothing to talk about, and we sat there for a minute, and like none of that happened.
That's true.
We had a few moments, I think, where there was like a second of silence, but someone caught on to it and then like jumped in with the conversation. And I think Nero's really good at that. And I think that if there are more episodes without a Nero, that gives us practice as doing that because we're so reliant on him to do those kinds of things.
That's true. I think one of the things that really got to me was when I was watching the chat at one point. There was one person who came in and he's like, "What the fuck's going on?" And Kooky, did a message of what we were talking about, like specifically at that time. And then like 30 seconds later, he's like, "All right, well, I'm not into this. This makes no goddamn sense. Later, guys," and left. And
I didn't even.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I was watching the chat too.
But the thing is, I'm sure people obviously come in and go out all the time. When listening to this because it's not their cup of tea. So I'm trying not to let it bother me. But again, I guess being the one who's actually like leading stuff, it gets to you a lot more than it does otherwise. So
that, and there was like 240 other people who were watching the show too. So I mean, one person's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, did you guys notice that for a while there we kind of had a little bit of a lower number? Like we were kind of like usually by the time we start we're up in like the hundreds, 150s. This time we were sub 100, and we did end up getting up to our usual like 250, 260. But I wonder.
It's because we started at 2 p.m. again after like almost like a month of.
Yeah, maybe they weren't expecting us to start at a normal time again.
Or do you think that maybe more people can just make it later at night as well?
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Maybe, but when we did it 2 p.m. consistently, like every week, I feel like we had more people too, and then we switched. And then when we did it at noon, we had like nobody, so that must be too early for a lot of West Coasters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you guys thought it went well then? What was your favorite part of the show?
I put on a fashion show. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I job changed like 5 or 6 times during the show.
Yes.
It's like, you can see all my ephemeral glory. And I figured since we were talking a lot about summoners and bards, I would just job change and have fun.
Luckily, no one on the podcast has to be scarred by any of that.
Oh, what was my favorite part? I like the job discussion that we had. I think that was really good. I enjoyed that.
I think that was probably the strongest part of the entire discussion.
That's probably where we're going to get the most emails, I would think, too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you look at how many summoner and paladin emails we had today after one tiny call after one call from last week and one discussion about paladin, and then we got this many emails this week, I can only imagine where that's going to go.
Yep. We might actually have to, I don't know.
We have to limit how many emails we get about summoner to like 2 or 3 per week.
Yeah,
like
we might have to.
Mm-hmm. Man.
Or would there be a way we could like either put them all together so we don't keep repeating the same topic and read them and then discuss them, or we can put them.
Yes, that's probably another one, is putting them in a specific order.
Or like what I really liked that you did is that we had the one email that was kind of the basis for this show. And so we kind of read parts of the email as we went along. And I feel like if it, say, was an episode where we were going to have a summoner discussion, we could put the emails, I don't know, intersperse them sort of to like lead our discussion maybe in the future to help us a little bit with that. I don't know.
What was your favorite part, Mr. Kahlo?
It was definitely not trying to do the tracks at the beginning and the end of the show.
What was so bad about that? I don't get it.
It wasn't bad at the start of it, but at the end of it, I still had the media player turned down from when I was fading out the intro, right? So then when I clicked on the outro, I didn't hear it at first. I'm like, oh yeah, right. So I turned it up. And I'm like, oh shit, this is the intro again.
So you just opened the wrong file?
Yeah, well, they're all on a little playlist, and they're even in order, so I don't know why the fuck I clicked that middle one.
But I mean, that happens. It's the first time that you've been in charge of doing that.
Yeah, and
it's not so easy, is it?
I wouldn't be so hard on yourself for that.
Yeah, and I also don't have like the mixer board and stuff, so like I had to go over and I went to open the volume mixer and muted Skype so that you guys wouldn't talk or say anything when I went to do it. So I'm like, oh shit, I fucked it up. So I had to go and unmute Skype and be like, hey, I fucked up, guys, sorry. Outro music instead. And then because when I unmuted Skype to read the like ending credit things or whatever, somebody was sending messages. Nika, thanks, which
sorry.
they then heard Skype go bloop.
Oh, I didn't know that I would pick that up.
It's all right because Chris also put catering to casuals.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
Haha.
yep. So yeah. So that. Ugh.
My favorite
It should
part
be
of the
fixable in
show.
post, but
My favorite part of the show was the fact I was not in charge of drops or callers, so this was like a vacation for me. I could just focus on the topic and just relax for a change.
And, I mean, that's nice since you do have a cold. Is that what's going on here?
Yeah. See, I mean, ooh, this is not jizz paper. This is snot paper.
jizz paper.
I think.
Oh, good.
So,
I think.
I have to. Oh yeah, what was your favorite part, Nico?
Yeah. It's hard to have a favorite part because I feel like we're so good at this discussion. Like our job discussion was definitely one of the better discussions I think we've had.
I think that was.
That was really good. And just talking in general about like I don't know, it's hard to pick a favorite part. I think that our primal discussion too. We had a lot of good ideas, and it was funny that you said a lot of them came from FF10. But I think there was just a lot of memorable primals and summons from
true.
FF10 that would make such a nice addition to 14 in such a way that I think would be fun.
Yeah. Actually, my favorite part was Juxta getting Nika to yell "fuck you."
That was not my favorite part.
What
so
was
great.
that even? Oh, that was.
Femro being the ugly race. Like, I don't know why I didn't see it coming either.
I mean, I know.
So
Me
obvious.
either. It was just such a perfect setup, too, that, like, that's why I had to
That
scream
had
at
like
you.
a long lead into that too.
It did. Oh, that was really good.
Comedic.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was too perfect of a burn. No, my favorite part was burning Callow at the beginning.
I'll look forward to more because it wasn't. I mean, it was unexpected, but it was kind of a cliche one.
But how long are you going to be a Lullafell before you change back? I thought you would be changed back by now, honestly.
The only reason that I've stayed as long as I did was because me and Fairbear were gonna have that match, which people were actually excited about, and I forgot to mention. I should have told them like it wasn't happening today, but yeah. So basically, just long enough for me and her to do a PvP match, and then I'll be changing to Aura.
Wait, what?
I'm doing an Eorzean race tour.
Oh, okay. That's right. But you said you're only going to do a male row and not a fem row.
I probably won't do a row at all.
What? So cool and tough too, though. How could you not want to be a row?
He was a Lalafell. That basically counts as a row.
Yeah.
Or I mean, I guess you could be a female Makote. That's close enough to a row, I guess.
According to Escalia. Yeah. All right. Well,
Sorry.
cool. Was there anything else that you guys wanted to say or mention about the show or comment upon?
I want to say you did a really good job of like hosting and leading the discussion. So kudos to that.
Yeah, good job, Kyle.
I felt like
so hard on yourself. You did a good job.
I felt like when it came to switching the topic to the next one, I felt like those were all like the segues were really rough. But thank you.
Yeah, I mean,
when you're going from one topic to another, you just kind of have to like force it. It's just more about like timing, I guess.
I think it's a lot of the wording too, because I think sometimes you're like, okay, and that our next topic on our
like that just seems so abrupt and like
it's just wording. Because even sometimes when a Nero does it, it's not necessarily actually like he'll say, and that brings us to our next topic, which it doesn't necessarily bring us to our next topic, but it just feels a little smoother. But again, when it's your first time doing it, you have to kind of feel it out, and I think that you did a pretty good job for taking it all upon yourself to put together this outline and then lead it. Good job.
A lot of it is just being confident and just like saying, all right, now we're going on to this, and not being like, right, cool, okay. Yeah, so, all right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is blah, blah, blah. It's just like blah, 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 blah. Okay, so next thing, blah.
Yeah, which you did do most of the time, so
yeah, so
I think it worked.
Cool, good, yay.
Yay!
Yep.
Good job. No.
I feel like I was really off on the drops today, though.
Yeah, your drops sucked, man. I tried to fill in for you, but it's not the same.
Just have an off day sometimes. Not many callers either.
No, yeah, you're really dropping the ball, man.
I wonder.
Bad day for Jux.
I'm just curious, with the way that we have it set up in the future, if we have to do another episode without a Nero, is there a way that we can bring callers in through
We
Skype?
could actually, yes, technically bring callers in for this episode, but Juxta, I think, would have to run 2 instances of Skype. And Nero said that there is actually, I think, there's a way that people could potentially trace our IP or something. And he said that he himself, he doesn't care if someone were to do that and try and mess with him or mess with the show when we're at the actual studio. But he was like, we don't, he doesn't want us to necessarily have to take that risk upon ourselves. So he's like, if you guys don't want to do calls for this episode,
Oh,
don't worry about it.
I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
And, to be fair, we didn't really need callers this episode.
Yeah, no.
You're right. We didn't need callers, but with such a roundtable type of discussion, I think we probably had a lot of callers that would have had good
We would
input.
have had good callers. But
Although I do think that we were pretty good at watching the chat, and when the chat had something to add, we would read it.
A
or
good
if they
point,
had a question, we also were able. Oh, they have this question. Let's talk about it. So I think we did a pretty good job of that, at least.
I agree too. By the way, my posters are cooler than Nika's.
Hey, I'm still setting up my area. Okay,
Joker
I have.
1, Joker 2, Skyrim map, Guardians
You
of the
can't
Galaxy,
see all of them. Let's see over
Harley
there.
Quinn, Disney Infinity,
Okay, I have my Scions poster from FanFest.
Rocket and Groot, Guardians of the
To
Galaxy.
the side, you can't
calendar.
see. There's like a wall side here, but I have a Legend of Korra that's
Nope,
like mixed
if you
with
can't see it, it
mixed with
doesn't count.
Star Wars.
If you can't
I
see
have
it,
a
it doesn't
Sailor
count.
Moon wall scroll thing that's like out of
You know
print
what?
from the 90s.
You
I have a
forgot game up.
Suikoden wall scroll over there, which is so cool.
Okay.
And then we have calendar. We have a Simpsons calendar hung up. And I have all of my convention badges from every convention I've ever been to, ever. I've been collecting them since 2009. And they're all up there. So it's cool to me, okay? Now I can't get my camera back the way I wanted it.
You know what the best decoration in your room is, though? Senpai.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
happy birthday to Senpai.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, it is his birthday. Man, now my camera's all fucked up.
And now I have a Chobit poster.
All right. Well, if there wasn't anything else, guys, that's your green room video for the day. It was really nice having Nika on this time again. And maybe going forward, we can have her in a few more of them.
I like being able to see you. When I was on that iPad, I was just like staring.
Yeah, that was.
And I was like, I'm not entirely sure if I'm even being heard or what's going on, but
Yeah, it was the same for us not being able to actually look at you on the iPad either. So yeah, but having you here is better than not having you here at all. So cool and great show, guys, and thank you, Patreon donors. We'll see you again next week for episode 31. Peace.
Oops, I wasn't recording. Just kidding.